We have all gathered here today to listen, to understand. Before the event started, the MC was announcing to everyone that this is a surprise event. I was standing there listening, and I thought, if in a human being's life, these kind of things, such as feeling, devotion, God, joy, peace, if these things would not be a surprise, and everything else that happens in the world would be a surprise for the human being, then his life will be changed in such a big way. Because that which truly is natural, which comes from the heart, peace, today for the human being, that is a surprise. When wars happened, that's not a surprise. But if somebody experiences peace, that's a surprise. If you speak to someone and somebody says, "Do you have peace in your life?" "Yeah, it's okay. I'm working on it. I'm working at it." Do you have peace in your life? And if somebody says, "Yes, I do," then the person who's asking that question would be shocked. You do? But these things should be natural, should be natural. And all the other things that happen in this world, the wars, the unrest, the ego that the human being experiences, that should be a surprise to the human being. What happened? A surprise is when something happens without you knowing. Something happens that you have no idea about. That's what you call a surprise. Kabir Das has a bhajan, and it says, "Be aware, lost being, what you load on your shoulders." And people sing this song, that lost soul, be aware of what you load on your shoulders. Don't load so much that your neck will break. Wandering soul, be aware of what you load on your shoulder. So what is the load? What is this burden? What kind of burden is it that could be possible to break our neck? What is that load that we carry in our lives? Those things that we think is good, is it possible that those same things can become a burden in our lives? I'm not saying that they do. I'm saying that is it possible? Those things that we don't think is a load on our shoulders, could it be that they turn and become a load? Everything that we do in this world, we think that these are our responsibilities. If you want to understand your responsibility, first understand the very basic responsibility. And that responsibility is one that you have toward your heart. the responsibility that you have toward the one who made you, toward the one who placed certain virtues within you from before, and to really understand those virtues and apply those virtues is your main responsibility. All these people who explain about religions, they don't really know what it means. What is the true meaning of religion? They don't know. Because there was a time when there were no books. There was the human being, but no books. How a person could experience devotion toward God, no one had written about it yet. And there was also a time where there were human beings, but nobody could pray to Lord Ram because Ram wasn't born yet. But that doesn't mean that whichever human being existed at that time, that they did not have the feeling of devotion in their heart. It does not mean that whichever human beings were there did not want to fulfill their lives. It does not mean that those people who were not educated did not ask that question, why am I here? Why am I here? And the scriptures, that's what they explain, what you need to do while you're alive in this world. That's what they show you. If you do everything according to what's written in the scriptures, then when you die, you will go to heaven. Now, as far as heaven goes, I have one more question. And that is, if you don't even know what heaven is, even if you arrive there, how will you know you're there? Many years ago, quite a few people with knowledge from India had gone from India to America to attend a large event. And when they went there, they had never sat in an airplane before. So first they arrived at the airport, they completed all the formalities, and then they were taken to the airplane and they sat down. They'd never sat in an airplane before. They'd never seen such a big plane before. And when they sat down comfortably in their seats, then they felt when it will be time for the plane to take off, somebody will tell them, and then they will take them and escort them to the plane. Because they had never seen a plane before. Now they're sitting in their seat. It's a huge place. And they had no idea that this was the airplane. So they sat. The plane took off. And they must have heard the sounds and thought, what is all this noise? And when the plane landed in England, then they were really amazed, like, what? We're already there? The reason I'm telling you this, because this happened. It's not just a story, but this actually happened to some people. But because they had no idea. Then how could they compare? What could they compare with? Now there are people. People are shown a photo of heaven. There's laddus. There's all these different Indian sweets. Now there are people like that. Have you ever gone to a shop where they make sweets? You've seen the sweet shop, right? And what all is displayed in front of his store? There's jalebis, there's laddus, there's pandas. These are all the Indian sweets. And the person who's making all of these sweets, he's sweating. Is that heaven? And for the one who does not know, what will he compare with as to what heaven is? That's why there is this distinction that some people say heaven is here, and some people say heaven is not here. That's why there's this separation. Why is it there? Because there are some people who have truly experienced heaven while they are alive here, and they say heaven is here. Wandering soul, be careful what you load on your shoulder. Don't put so much of a load that you will break your neck. If you are hungry, eat now. If you are hungry, eat now. There are no stores, no restaurants ahead down the road. If you are hungry, eat now. If you are thirsty, drink water. The water is here. Water is now. There's no water down the road. If you are thirsty, drink water now. There is nothing ahead where you can get water. So wandering being, be aware of what you load on your shoulder. And then Kabir says, because you know what will happen at the end, death has a hold of you. Death will take you away. So be aware, wandering soul, what you load on your shoulder. And what is that load? What is the greatest load that we carry on our shoulder? And that is ignorance. That we carry the load of ego. We have this burden of ego on our shoulder. Ego does not look good. It does not suit a human being. Ego does not look good on a human being. He has it, but it does not look good. The one who embraces and accepts ego, in that person's life, knowledge is very far away. The one who accepts ego, the one who embraces anger, the one who embraces all of those things, which is closer not toward knowledge, but closer toward ignorance, then they will not get close to knowledge. They will definitely have ignorance, but they will not have knowledge. And if they don't have knowledge, they will keep wandering and wandering, and wherever they find whatever, they'll call it heaven. Because truly, where is it? For the one who in their heart does not have the experience of devotion, and something else is found there. The one whose heart is not filled with devotion, the one whose life is not filled with devotion, the one whose life is not filled with joy, then if there's no joy, what will you find? Pain. You'll find pain. Where the human being does not recognize his creator, who does he recognize? He recognizes himself, not with the true recognition of who he is, but the false recognition. And what is the false recognition? I am this, I am that, I am this. You know, the human being says, I am the divine. How? How?
अगर ग्लास में दूध डाला जाए
If you pour milk in a glass,
तो क्या ग्लास ही दूध बन जाएगा?
does the glass become the milk?
देखो,
Look,
मटके में तुम दूध डालते हो,
if you place
नहीं?
milk in the clay pot, right?
दूध का रंग क्या होता है?
What's the color of milk?
क्या रंग होता है दूध का?
What's the color of milk?
सफेद।
White.
और मटके का क्या रंग होता है?
What's the color of the clay pot? Red.
और उस मटके में कितना दूध पड़ेगा?
How much milk will go in that clay pot?
दूध डालते हैं शाम को, सवेरे तक दही
People
बन जाता है,
place
उसको भी लोग
milk at night in the clay pot and then it becomes yogurt in the morning.
लोग के मक्खन निकाले,
And then
जो
they
बचता उसका मट्ठा,
churn that
वो
and
भी
turn
निकाल
it
लेते
into
हैं। फिर दूसरे
butter.
दिन क्या होगा उसमें?
And what
फिर दूध
happens the
डाला
next day? When they take it all out of the clay pot, they'll put milk again into that clay pot.
हजारों गैलन दूध उस मटके में डाला जाएगा, पर उस
Thousands
मटके
and
का
thousands
रंग
of
उसका
gallons
दूसरा होगा।
of milk will be poured into that clay pot, but will the clay pot's color change? No. Why?
क्यों?
Why?
हैं? और गऊ
And a cow
हरी घास खाती है,
eats green grass,
सफेद दूध देती है,
gives white
अरे
milk.
कभी तो हरा देना चाहिए ना?
Sometime you'd think it should give green milk.
इतना हरा 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 खा
Eating
के, खा
green,
के,
green,
खा के,
green
खा
all
के,
the time,
तुम
green
सोचो
grass.
कभी तो हरा हो
Then you
जाएगा।
think at some point it would give green
नहीं
milk.
होता है,
But no, it doesn't happen like that.
नहीं होगा,
It won't
क्योंकि
happen
दोनों में अंतर।
because there's a difference between the two.
और
And
जब तुम उस मटके के अंदर स्थित दही को बिलोगे,
when you churn the yogurt in that clay pot, then what will come out from that? Butter.
मक्खन निकलेगा,
Butter will come out.
पर निकलेगा दूध से,
But it will
मटके से
come
मक्खन
from
नहीं निकलेगा।
the milk, not from the clay pot.
जब बिलोया जाता है,
When it's churned,
बिलोते हैं दूध को,
then you're
मटके को नहीं।
churning the milk, not churning the
चाहे
clay
उसके
pot.
अंदर रखा हुआ जरूर है,
Even though
और जो
it is
बिलोने की चीज़ है,
contained
वो भी मटके के
in the
अंदर
clay
है।
pot, and the instrument to churn the milk is also in the clay pot, and you're churning and churning and churning, and what comes out of that clay pot comes from that yogurt that's inside the clay pot, but not from the pot itself.
है ना?
Right?
और जब उसके अंदर दूध डालते हैं, दूध
And when
फटता है,
milk
उसकी दही
is
बनती
put
है,
into it,
पर
it
मटका
curdles
नहीं
and
फटता
becomes
है।
yogurt.
और मटका फट जाए तब कुछ
The
नहीं
milk becomes yogurt and curdles, but not the clay pot. If the clay pot curdled, it would crack and break.
होता। वो मटके
What are you? You are the clay pot.
ये मटका कहने लगा कि मैं ही दूध
And
हूँ।
now the clay pot starts to say, I am the milk.
मटका कहने लगा
The
मैं ही
clay
दूध
pot
हूँ।
starts to say that it is the milk.
मटका मटका है, दूध दूध है।
The clay pot is the clay pot. The
ये
milk
दोनों में
is the
अंतर
milk.
है।
There is a difference between the two.
ये दोनों में अंतर है।
There is a
और ये
difference between the
अंतर
two.
था,
And that difference was,
है
is,
और हमेशा रहे।
and always will be.
ये आता रहेगा और जाता
This
रहेगा।
will
ये
come
है
and
मट्टी।
go. This is the dirt.
ये आता रहेगा,
This will
जाता
come and go.
रहेगा। मट्टी मट्टी में मिलेगी, फिर कुम्हार
Dirt will
मट्टी
go
को
back to
उठाएगा,
dirt. Then the
फिर उससे
potter will
मटका
take that
बनाएगा।
dirt. He will make another
मटके
clay
में
pot.
दूध आएगा, मटके
And
की
in that
हवा
clay
हो
pot,
जाएगी।
the milk will be placed and the clay pot will be sung the praises of. And what will people say? Oh, be careful how you carry that clay pot. Why?
संभाल के ले जा मटके को,
Why
इसलिए
be
क्योंकि
careful
मटके
as you
में
carry
दूध
that
है।
clay
और
pot? Because
दूध
it
ना
has the
हो,
milk in
तो
it.
तुम्हारी कीमत
If there's
क्या
no
है?
milk in that
कुछ
clay
नहीं
pot,
है।
what is your value? Nothing.
कुछ नहीं।
Nothing.
हमने देखा है
I have
हरिद्वार में
seen
क्या होता
that. I've seen what happens in
है। क्या कहते
Haridwar
हैं? वहाँ फूक फाक के ले जाते हैं,
when people are
क्या
cremated,
कहते हैं, और जो कुछ भी बचा है, राख
and
जो
whatever
बची
is
है,
left, the ashes,
उसको मटके में डालते हैं
they place the ashes in a
और
clay
मटके
pot
को गंगा में
and they put the
बहा देते हैं।
pot in the river Ganges. And where they place it, there's some boys waiting there. And as soon as that pot starts to move on the river, they take that pot, empty out the ash, wash out the clay pot, and take it. They know the value of that clay pot. They don't want the ashes. They just want the clay pot. Whose ashes were those? Who was that person? Who was that person that was in that clay pot? And this is the reversal way of thinking of the world. If you are to accept something in your life, this is what should happen to the human being. Whatever they are to accept, accept the good. And what is the good? Good is the peace of your heart. What is good? This devotion. What is good? Joy. What is good? That I, in my life, can recognize that Supreme Being, that strength, that power. But the human being has given that Creator 2 hands, 2 eyes, placed him here sometime, placed him there, sometimes do this, sometimes do that. Yesterday I was watching on TV, and there was the glory being sung of Radha. Lord Krishna's name was gone, disappeared. But without Krishna, how can there even be Radha? When there's no one there to love, then who are you going to love? Who's going to love? First, you need that beloved who can be loved. And who is that? That is Krishna. And where will you find that Krishna? You won't find him in Dwarka. You won't find him there. Where will you find him? You won't find him at the shores of the Ganges. You won't find him at the shores of Jamuna. You won't find him in Gokul. He resides in this Dwarka. He resides in this Dwarka. And the flute of that Krishna plays today too. With every breath, that flute of Krishna is playing. Now, if you become a gopi, a devotee of Krishna, then you'll be able to hear that flute, the flute of the breath, which is coming and going. He too will be able to hear that flute. Krishna's not gone anywhere. He's still here. Ram. You won't find him in Lanka. You won't find him in Ayodhya. Ram, your Ram, resides here. First become Hanuman. As soon as you become Hanuman, you will find your Ram within you. He is there. He is there. But where does the human being search? On the outside. He searches on the outside. That which is within him, he looks for it on the outside. Why does he look for it on the outside? Why does he search? The thing that persists him to search is not wrong. But when he takes that feeling from the heart and connects it to the feeling in the mind, then he's lost. He's wandering. He doesn't say, I don't know. I don't know. A devotee, what does he ask for from God? What did Hanuman ask from Lord Ram? I want your devotion.
बस
That's all.
तुम्हारी भक्ति चाहिए.
I want your
भक्ति
devotion.
क्या है?
What is devotion?
भक्ति है क्या?
What is devotion?
सुनाने वाले तो बहुत व्याख्या
There are
करेंगे
many
इसकी
people
बात.
who will give you the description of what devotion is. Devotion is this, devotion is that. No.
मैं बताता हूँ.
I'll tell you.
जब तुमको किसी से प्रेम हो जाता है,
When
तो सबसे पहले
you
क्या
fall
होता है?
in love with someone, what's the first thing that happens?
खाते समय तुम उसी
When
के
you're
बारे में
eating,
सोचते हो.
you're thinking
सोते
about that
समय
person.
तुम
When
उसी
you're
के बारे में
sleeping,
सोचते
you're
हो.
thinking about that person.
जाती समय तुम उसी के
When
बारे
you're
में
leaving
सोचते हो.
somewhere, you
जब
think about that
अपने
person.
प्रीतम के पास जाने की बात होती है, मन में
When
खुशी होती है,
the
जब
time
तुमसे
comes for you to
दूर
go
होने की
close
बात
to your
होती है,
beloved,
दुख होता
your
है.
heart is filled with joy.
इसको कहते
When
हैं
it comes
मोहब्बत,
time for you to
इसको
be
कहते हैं
separated
प्यार.
from your beloved, you feel pain in your
खाते
heart. You
भी
call
उसकी
that
याद
love.
आती है,
When
न
you're
खाते
eating,
भी उसकी याद आती
you
है.
think of that person. When you're not eating, you're still thinking of that person. When you sleep,
जगते समय
you
भी
think of
उसी
that
की याद
person.
आती
When you're awake, you think of that person.
है. नहीं,
Right?
इसे ही तो कहते हैं ना प्रेम.
Isn't that what we call love?
इसमें और भगवान के साथ उस कृष्ण के साथ
Between
उस
that
राम
love
के साथ उस दिव्य
And the
चीज
love
के
that we
साथ
can
प्रेम
have
करने में
towards
कोई
Krishna,
अंतर नहीं
towards
है.
Ram, towards the
खाते समय
divine,
भी
there
उसकी
is no
याद आती है.
difference. When you're
सोते समय
eating,
भी उसकी याद
you
आती है.
remember him.
जब
When
उसके
you're
पास
sleeping,
जाने
you
की बात
remember
हो तो
him.
मन में
When it
खुशी
comes
होती
time
है.
to go
जब उससे
close to
दूर होने
him,
की बात
your
हो तो
heart
मन
is
में
filled
दुख
with
होता है.
joy. When it's time for you to be separated from that beloved, you feel pain in your heart. That's love. Love is the same. Whether you give it the name of devotion, now people give it the name devotion, so you're a devotee.
भक्त क्या है?
What is a devotee?
जब यहाँ इस दरबार में
When here,
ये प्रथा रही है
there is this tradition
कि जब किसी को
that when someone
ज्ञान हो जाता है
receives
तो
knowledge,
उसको क्या कहते हैं?
then what are they called?
प्रेमी.
Premi, lover.
क्यों?
Why?
भक्त क्यों नहीं कहते हैं?
Why aren't they called devotees?
भक्तायन जी
Female devotee.
ना,
No,
भक्तायन नहीं, भक्त नहीं.
not a
प्रेमी.
devotee, not a female devotee, just Premi.
और प्रेमी की क्या पहचान?
And what is the
प्रेमी नहीं है,
recognition
कैसे प्रेमी?
of a Premi?
प्रेमी
of a
होने के
lover?
लिए सबसे पहले प्रेम तो होना चाहिए ना.
And what's the first thing that you
बिना
need to
प्रेम
be
के
a
प्रेमी
lover?
कैसे
Love.
बनेंगे?
Without love, how can you be a Premi? How can you
सबसे
be a
बड़ा
lover?
प्रश्न ये उठता है,
So the very
प्रेम
first
है?
question is, do you have that love or not?
ये बात, इसका उत्तर तुमको इससे नहीं मिलेगा.
You won't find the answer to that question from this.
देखो,
Look,
जब भी हमको मौका मिलता है हवाई
whenever
जहाज
I
में,
have an opportunity to
हमको
fly
बड़ा अच्छा लगता
the
है.
plane, I really like it.
बहुत सालों से हम उड़ाते आ
For
रहे हैं.
many years, I've been flying the
हमको
airplane.
अच्छा लगता है.
I really like it.
अब हवाई जहाज क्यों उड़ रहा है?
Now, why the airplane is flying,
इसका तो साइंटिफिक एक्सप्लेनेशन है.
there is a scientific explanation for that.
विज्ञान इस बात को समझा सकता है कि
Science
हवाई
can
जहाज क्यों उड़ता
explain
है.
why the airplane is flying.
विज्ञान ये भी समझा सकता है
Science can also
तुम हवाई
explain
जहाज में क्यों बैठे हो,
why you're sitting in that
तुम्हारी
airplane
ड्यूटी क्या
and what
है,
are your duties,
तुम्हारा फर्ज क्या है,
what
ये
are your
समझा सकता है.
responsibilities while you're sitting in that airplane. Science can explain that. But why it feels good to you, science cannot explain that.
ये विज्ञान नहीं समझा
That
सकता.
cannot be explained by science.
इसी प्रकार
In the same way,
ये बुद्धि का विषय नहीं है,
this is not
ये
a
हृदय का
subject
विषय है.
of the intellect. This is a subject of the heart.
और हृदय को तसल्ली तब होगी
And the heart will only be
जब
satisfied
इसको असली चीज
when it
मिलेगी.
finds
नकली
the
से
real thing.
बुद्धि संतुष्ट हो सकती है.
It's possible that the mind, the intellect, can be satisfied by finding the false thing. That's the difference. The brain, the intellect,
हो सकती है,
is possible for it to be satisfied by lies, but never the heart.
तुम अपने जीवन में किस चीज से काम लेते हो? अपने
And
दिमाग
how
से,
do
अपनी
you
बुद्धि से,
work in your life? Do you work with your head, with your
हर एक
intellect,
चीज में
or
जो
through
जो
your
संस्कार
heart?
भरे हुए हैं तुम्हारे अंदर, या कोई हृदय की भी बात है तुम्हारे जीवन के अंदर.
all the things that you do in this world, there is also this thing called heart. That truly do you have that love within you? That truly do you sit down and enjoy practicing this knowledge in your life or not? Or whatever concepts that you have in your head becomes an interference in this knowledge. I said this before, it's not a subject of your intellect, because if their intellect comes and interferes in the matter of the heart, something will go wrong. Then we start saying, this should be like this should be like that. Why isn't it like this? And why isn't it like that? Why isn't it like this now? It is what it is. If you look at your face in the mirror and you say, why doesn't my face look like Shah Rukh Khan, the Indian actor? If you go to buy a mirror, or if a woman goes to buy a mirror and she looks at her face in the mirror and she says, why does my face not look like Priyanka Chopra, an Indian actress? Is that why you're buying the mirror? So that your face looks like hers? If that's the reason you're buying the mirror, that won't happen. That won't happen. There's a story. Naradji fell in love. Naradji fell in love. And he fell in love, and love is love. Naradji fell in love, and he goes to God and he prays to God and says, so and so day there is this marriage ceremony happening, and I'm going to go there. And would you please be so kind as to transform my face into your face, so that the one that I'm in love with, when she sees my beautiful face, she'll put the garland on me. And people ask, these are the kinds of things that people ask. So if somebody hears the story, then they would understand that you don't want to ask for these kinds of things from God. Why shouldn't you ask for those things? I'll tell you. So what did God think? What did God think? He didn't think of compassion. He thought of a joke. Now, who's going to point their fingers to God and say, you shouldn't do this? Who's going to explain to God that you shouldn't do this? You should have compassion. The poor guy, he's asking for your face. Why don't you just transform his face to your face, and his great fortune will open up? No. What did God think? Not compassion. He thought of a joke. And what kind of joke? One joke is such, maybe just a small little thing when you joke with somebody. But no, this was such a joke. It's not a small little joke. And as far as getting a person really angry, there was no limit to the anger. What did God do? In that ceremony, in that place, he gave Narad the face of a monkey. And if he had only done that, that would have been fine. But he didn't do just that. He came himself as well to that ceremony. If he had done just that, then maybe when Narad would say something that you shouldn't have done this, I'm really angry with you, then maybe the Lord would say, no problem, I'll find you another girl like that for you. No, but he gave Narad the face of a monkey, and then the Lord appeared there as well to participate in the ceremony, not as an observer. And he could have just sat in the back and watched. And did he really even need to go there when he's omnipresent? He didn't really need to go there. He gave Narad the face of the monkey, that was fine. But no, that wasn't enough. He gave poor Narad the face of a monkey. And Lord Krishna shows up as well, not only just to observe, but to participate. And the person who was really in love, that Narad was really in love with, when she saw Lord Krishna, who did she put the garland on? On the monkey or on Lord Krishna? And she puts the garland on Lord Krishna. And then Narad got really upset, really angry, and he cursed Lord Krishna, and he says, the way I am being separated from my lover, you too will have to come on this planet, and you'll have to be separated from your beloved. And when Lord Ram was in exile, then the person who was doing the security, and even Lakshman was doing the security, he said to Lakshman, look, this is a terrible thing. Look at what's happening with Lord Ram. He's separated from Sita. Then Lakshman says, these are all the doings of Narad. Anyway, so people ask from God, and if somebody had heard this story, if someone had heard this story, then maybe the next time you ask something from God, you'd be a little more careful. Don't ask for these kind of things. For the one who can make such a joke. That's why, what does a devotee ask? Just give me your devotion. I don't want anything else. Let me experience that devotion. Just let me have your company. Whenever you come, may I have your company. May I be with you. That's all I want, nothing else. If you ask for something else, who knows what you might get. So it's really true. And this happens to people. They ask for one thing and they get something else. And people go and stand in line. They're going to ask from God. What's told to people? Come to this temple, bow your head to the statue of God, and God will fulfill all your desires. God will fulfill your desires. Does God not know what your desires are? That means that God does not know. Until you walk into that temple, God does not know anything about you. Only when you come into the temple and you speak to God and tell Him that, look, you've given me a lot of daughters, now give me a son too. That's what the accountant does, right? One daughter, one son. 2 daughters, 2 sons. So that the number that goes out, the same number comes in. Now, who made this tradition? Did God make this tradition? The tradition of dowry, is that something God made? That's a human being. The human being makes these traditions, these laws and rules, and then you are told to go in front of God and get those desires fulfilled. And they say, oh, it's between you and God. No, it's not. The priest is in the middle too. There's so many people in the middle. And this is what Kabir says, that if you can attain God by bowing down to the statue, to the rock, then I will bow down to the entire mountain. But people don't understand this. They keep at it after this world. And wherever we see, wherever we go, what does the heart want? The heart does not want these wars. Nothing will happen from these wars. Nothing has happened, nothing will happen. From these wars, only the human being is destroyed. Just the human being is destroyed. That's where you find the decline.
जब जानवर बन गया है,
When the human being has turned and acts like an animal.
अनहित
Why? Because it's been said, the good and bad, even the animals and birds know. But what's different about the human being that you know that you can recognize and experience knowledge? To fight, to steal, to do all of these things, even birds and animals do. But the human being is only the one species that can understand this knowledge. This human body is given so that you can understand knowledge. In the temple, you're not the only one who goes there. Monkeys go there too. Don't they? Here, there, they keep walking all around, wandering around the temple, circling the temple. Why do they do that? Because you're going to bring an offering to God and they can steal it from you. So they're asking God that you're coming to bring an offering to please God, and here the monkeys are saying, give it to me. And as soon as the monkey starts to snatch it from your hands, will God come to save you? No. You have this fear from ahead of time that God is placed, and you'll leave that offering there, the sweets, and run. So who's placed that fear in you? That's also placed by Him as well. So people say, God, your divine play is amazing. I cannot understand it. Actually, the divine play of God can be understood by everyone, but the play by the human being cannot be understood by anyone. The divine play of God can be understood by everyone, because He has given us this human body. Within this body, He's given us this heart. Within this heart, He's given us the feeling for peace. He's given us the feeling to have that true joy, true happiness. He's given us the inspiration for devotion. He's given us the inspiration for understanding. He's given us love. And this world has taught us so many things, has taught us so many different things, that today the human being can't even separate himself from that. And what is truth? What is lies? It's been said, whether it's true or not, I don't know, but it's been said that a swan can separate milk from water, and a heron drinks both. Whether this is a fact or not, I don't know, but what it means, I understand. What it means is that the one who is true at heart, who is that swan, he can separate the lies, separate the truth, accept the truth, and leaves the lies behind. It doesn't mean he starts beating on the water. No. He separates it. He receives and accepts what is good, and what is not good, he leaves it aside. But that heron drinks both. What have you done in your life till now? Have you lived like that heron? Or do you also want to be the swan? If you want to be the swan, then that is possible, because that swan, which you are looking for, is within you. However, learn to live in its light, not in its shadow. Learn to live in its light. Truth has a light as well.
भक्ति की भी एक रोशनी
There
है,
is a light to
सच्ची
devotion.
प्रेम की भी एक रोशनी
That
है,
true love has a light as
ज्ञान
well.
की भी एक रोशनी है।
Knowledge has a light.
उस रोशनी में रहना सीखो,
Learn to live in that light.
तुमको फिर अंधेरे में भटकने
Then
की
you will
जरूरत
not have a need to wander in the darkness.
नहीं। और इस दुनिया की जो रीतियां हैं,
And all the ways of this world,
जो इस दुनिया ने कानून बना रखे हैं,
all the rules and regulation that the world has created,
वो कानून, वो सारी प्रथाएं
those rules, those traditions
सिर्फ अज्ञानता की परछाई,
are only the shadows of ignorance. Shadow.
रोशनी नहीं है।
They're not light.
बदलता रहेगा सब कुछ,
It will change. All these things will continually change.
परंतु वो हृदय,
But that heart
वो शांति की तलाश, शांति की
will
चाहत,
always look for that peace.
उसके लिए वो भक्ति कभी
That
नहीं
desire for peace, that desire for devotion never changes for that devotee. No matter if
बदलती।
everything
कितने ही
else
धर्म बन गए
changes.
हैं,
So many religions are established.
कितने ही, एक समय था इतने
So
धर्म
many
नहीं थे,
religions are established. There was a time where there weren't these many religions, and now there are so many
ना उस
religions.
समय शांति थी और
There
ना
wasn't
इस
peace
समय
at that time. There isn't peace at this
और
time.
अगर 10 और बन जाएं,
And even
शांति
if
नहीं।
10 more religions are established, peace still won't be there.
एक समय था
There was a time
कि परिभाषाएं इन सारी चीजों की बहुत कम
when
थी।
there were
मनुष्य को
very
क्या
few
करना चाहिए, क्या नहीं करना
definitions
चाहिए, ये सारी
for the human
परिभाषाएं
being of all the
बहुत
things
कम
that
थी,
they
तब
should
भी
do or
शांति
shouldn't
नहीं थी।
do.
और आज ये
There wasn't
परिभाषाएं
peace
इतनी
then.
बन गई हैं कि पूछो मत। और
And
आज भी
today,
शांति नहीं।
there's so many definitions, and still the human being does not experience peace. Because where the human being is looking for peace,
है ही नहीं,
he
तो
can't
मिलेगी
find
क्यों?
it because it's not there. How will he?
वहां ढूंढना है
He
जहां
needs
वो
to
है।
look where the peace resides.
वहां ढूंढना है जहां वो
He
है।
needs to search for that peace where it exists.
रोशनी पतंगे के पास नहीं जाती, पतंगा
Light
रोशनी के पास
does
आता
not go towards the butterfly. The butterfly goes towards the light, right?
है। तुम भी पतंगे हो,
You too are a butterfly.
रोशनी से तुम्हारा कुछ संबंध है,
You have a connection toward that light.
तुम्हारा कुछ संबंध है।
You have a connection
और जो
towards that
प्यार का
light.
संबंध है
And
तुम्हारा
that
उस
connection
रोशनी
of
से,
love
वो
that you
तुमको
have towards
खींचता
that
है
light,
बार-बार।
it carries you,
तुम
it
पतंगे
pulls
हो।
you again and
और
again
तुमको
because you
स्वयं
are that
उस
butterfly
रोशनी से,
and you yourself are attracted to that light.
तुम उस रोशनी से आकर्षित
You are attracted to that
हो,
light.
खोजते हो।
That's why you search,
गुरु महाराज वो हैं
and the Master is the one
जो उस दिए को जलाते
who
हैं।
lights that
तुम
lamp.
पतंगे हो,
You are that butterfly,
रोशनी को देख के खींचे आते
and you look at that light and you are attracted to it and you go
Udo.
towards it. So fly,
आओ
come,
आओ,
come,
क्योंकि ये तुम्हारा स्वभाव है,
because this is your nature.
तुम्हारे हृदय का स्वभाव है।
That is the nature of your heart.
भक्ति करना,
To experience
असली प्रेम
devotion,
करना,
to experience
नई
that
बात
true
नहीं
love
है।
is not a new thing.
अरे ये प्रेम,
This
तो
love,
मनुष्य पता नहीं कितने लाखों लाखों सालों से करते हैं।
has been experienced by the human being for hundreds of thousands of years.
किताब पढ़ने की
To
जरूरत
love,
नहीं है।
you don't need to read a
प्रेम
book.
करने के लिए
To love,
तुमको किसी मंदिर में
you don't
जाने
need
की
to go to a
जरूरत नहीं है।
temple.
प्रेम करने के लिए
To love,
तुमको कहीं भी सजदा करने की जरूरत नहीं
you
है।
don't need to do
तुमको
any
कोई
of
बलि
those
देने की
things. You
जरूरत
don't need
नहीं
to
है।
sacrifice
सिर्फ प्रेम
anything.
चाहिए
You
और
just need
प्रेम
the beloved,
से हो जाए अपने
and
हृदय
for
के
the
अंदर,
one
उस
who
सब
experiences that love in their heart, for them everything is available.
पर प्रेम करना सीखो।
But first learn to
प्रेम
love.
करना सीखो।
Learn to love in that true way.
असली जीवन जीना सीखो।
Learn to live that true life.
चाहे तुमको ज्ञान है या नहीं
Whether
है,
you have
असली
this
जीवन
knowledge
जीना
or
सीखो।
not, Learn to live the true life, because if you don't have love towards that true life, then what are you going to practice? What is it that you're going to accept? You'll keep looking in the mirror and you'll keep searching in that mirror till you don't find that Shah Rukh Khan, the Indian actor. And you see, when the world finds out that you want the face of Shah Rukh Khan, they won't give you the mirror, they'll give you the photo of Shah Rukh Khan. And you look at that picture and you say, I like this mirror because my face looks just like Shah Rukh Khan. That's not Shah Rukh Khan, that's his shadow, and it's not your shadow either. And that's not a mirror either. But knowledge is a mirror. Look at your beauty. Look at that strength, that power within you. Look at that love within you. Look at that feeling within you. Look at that real, true magic within you. Look at that Krishna within you. Look at within you that Krishna who's playing his flute, who hasn't stopped playing that flute. That flute is still playing. But you first need to be that gopi, and you'll be able to hear that flute, which is constantly moving within you. And the day that flute of Krishna stops playing, you also will not exist. So listen. Listen. That Ram is there. The kingdom of Ram is there too, within you. Krishna is there. Krishna's flute is there, also within you. That Buddha is there, his knowledge is there within you. Know it. Understand this.